a team that I was higher on than most, the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young, who boy, it looked brutal. It looked bad this past game. They're going on the road to face Jonathan Gannon's defense in the Arizona Cardinals. Just people were hoping for a steady ascension from Bryce this season, and you really didn't see it this past week. It was discouraging. It could be bad for Canales. I think it puts Canales on the hot seat if this doesn't work out. I don't know that he's going to get a chance at a second quarterback. I think they may look to move on and just reset from the beginning. And this is all saying if it does go wrong for the rest of the year, there are things to like. Obviously, I mean, like Chuba was able to produce. Ted McMillan had some good plays for sure. There's things to be excited about in that sense, but the defense is brutal. The defense is not improved as Carolina Panther fans had hoped, and so this is a tough matchup. This is not an easy game for them. I like the Cardinals at home for sure. Anything jump out to you about this game, Turtle?
Yeah, I mean, I think we placed an emphasis on not to overreact from week one. And look, I like what you saw from Ted McMillan with the Panthers. I think 6.5 is just a little bit too long of a spread for a Cardinals team that played the Saints in week one, and really, I don't know if they deserve to be favored by a touchdown over a team. But again, I do think as far as talent is concerned, along the whole roster, they're certainly a better football team. You kind of know what you're going to get out of Kyler Murray, and I've mentioned it before. The time to take the Cardinals is they're kind of like the Dolphins. You bet on them early in the year and wait for them to fade later. So I don't really have a feel for this game. I just think that 6.5 is too much. But again, I think the Cardinals are better, certainly better on the defensive end right now. You had a defensive head coach. I do like what they did offensively, albeit against a weaker opponent. But again, kind of hard to tell. It's hard to gauge how good the Cardinals actually are based off who they played in week one. So again, this kind of feels like a big projection. I know Carolina underexceeded our expectations, but again, try not to be, to overreact and say like the Cardinals should win this game handily. I can't sit here confidently and say they should be favored over a touchdown because they're still kind of an unknown to me at this point.
I think everything we wanted to see from the Cardinals, we did see. We saw an explosive play from Marvin, explosive play from Trey McBride. Trey Benson had a great day last weekend. So offensively, we saw everything we needed to see in week one. I don't think they're going to have any issues this week. I'm going to take the Cardinals defensively. They look as good as they've been since they got Gannon.
Mm-hmm. Will Johnson looks like a steal, by the way.
Yeah, he does.
I told you he was a top 10. I thought he was top 7, top 10 player in the draft class. He just the injury.
That looks like it. That looks like a great pick. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Trayshawn Wharton's going to be out for the Panthers as well in this game. I mean, the Cardinals came into second half defense was actually did fairly well against the Saints. I think they were surprised they didn't get as much pressure as they could have. I think it would be a bounce back game for them. I'm not sold on the Panthers. I'm not sold on Bryce Young, especially being able to cover 6.5 in this game. I don't know. It kind of the late Bryce Young 2024 hype was just kind of I mean, we're back to square one right now, Pat. I mean, it was an ugly game against Jacksonville. He had the chance to hit. I forgot who it was in the end zone, but just completely sailed it and nobody was there. Also, I mean, they're already calling the guy out for body language in week one. I mean, it seems like
watching the scoreboard shuffleboard game or shuffling shells game.
Yeah, watching the half, not a good look. You're going to need a whole regroup on offense. And I mean, Kyler Murray's coming out with something to prove. I mean, give me not give me the Panthers. Give me the Cardinals at the 6.5, and then I think I think they're also going to need all. I mean, Dave Canales is going to have to look himself in the mirror with some of the late game play calling that happened last week in Jacksonville, and I mean the whole team's going to have to regroup, and I don't think that happens this Sunday.
I don't know. I mean, Turtle said it with the 6.5 line after what we saw from Arizona this past week. Letting a Colts or letting the Saints, hang around for as long as they did. It's
tough. I don't want to overreact because that's why it's hard for me to pick this game because, we saw some of what we expected out of Arizona, right? But again, it's hard to say, did Arizona really over exceed expectations last week against the Saints?
No.
I think you can make the argument that they didn't. So them coming back again, being favored by, just short of a touchdown against a team that I didn't have a great week one, obviously, but it's just hard. It's one of those things where
Panthers can run the ball. That's the other thing about it, I mean, they'll be able to keep the game close.
The best thing about early on NFL, there's so much value, I think, with week two, because I think in a lot of ways there's a lot of overreactions from week one, or certain teams we'll probably get to the Eagles and Saints here soon, and I feel a certain way about the Eagles and how they played week one, but teams over and under exceed expectations, but it's a 1 week sample, so how you weight it, in my opinion, is tough. That's why I think maybe there's a little bit of an overweighted to the downside for Carolina, or in return maybe overweighted the upside for the Cardinals. Just because, did the Cardinals really, what do we expect from them week one? Probably expect them to beat the Saints by at least a touchdown, and they let them hang around. So, I don't know. It's an interesting line. I if you had a gun to my head, I'd probably say I like the Panthers plus 6.5. But again, I feel like I'm picking underdogs for every game this week. So I don't know.
It's that week two philosophy.
Yeah.